Hello and welcome to Cinema Boston. I am your host, David, and today we are going to crown our World Cup of Film champion. We'll begin with what's known as the round of 16, which means 8 matchups to start. We'll then go through the quarterfinals, the semifinals, I can never get those separated, and the final. The real World Cup is down to 4 countries. All are former winners: France, Spain, England, and Argentina. Cinema Boston's only former winner is France, and they're still alive in this one. But we all know how difficult it is to go back-to-back. And a final reminder that we're not going with a body of work tournament like we did 4 years ago with our World Cup episodes. This one is based solely on the most recent film that I've seen from each country. And some countries had their films change more than once, and a few since our last episode, which directly led to more than one exit, as you will see. Let's kick off without that annoying countdown they're doing before every kickoff, which is horrible and it's stupid and has nothing to do with soccer. And stop it. All right, we've got Czechia with Spaceman from 2024 versus England with Victim from 1961. Poor England had their previous film in the non-Cameron Titanic movie replaced by a film I didn't really enjoy. So Czechia and Spaceman easily advanced. A Night to Remember may have unseated Spaceman if given the opportunity. Next up, Switzerland and So Torn versus Colombia and Bad Lucky Goat. This is the only match in the round of 16 that occurred on the actual World Cup pitch and in our cinematic World Cup. And just like the real match, this one went to penalty kicks. And just like the real match, Switzerland narrowly escaped and advances. End of the road for our Bad Lucky Goat. And So Torn moves on. Next up, Brazil and the Secret Agent from 2025 versus France. 1959's All Boys Are Called Patrick. This was more difficult than it seemed at first. A 4-time Oscar nominee versus a short film from the late 50s. That would seem like a runaway for Brazil. But Godard's short film moves on in a bit of an upset. Vive la France! Mon Dieu! Merde. Next up, United States with Sinner's Holiday from 1939. Jimmy Cagney's film debut at the age of 31 in a story about people on the fringes of crime versus Egypt's The Square from 2013. You've heard about that one before. The film representing the United States changed 3 times while preparing this episode, and Sinner's Holiday is not where the U.S. wanted the wheel to stop. I did enjoy it and Jimmy Cagney, but Egypt and The Square were too much for the U.S. to handle. Egypt with the win, but I guess there's always a chance FIFA's VAR goon squad reverses my call and punches Egypt in the nuts again. They're probably looking for a foul right now committed in the first 10 minutes of The Square. Next up, Ecuador and Maria Full of Grace versus Norway, Sentimental Value. Norway made it farther than most people thought they would in the World Cup, and the same can be true of Norway in our World Cup of Film. The Oscar winner, Sentimental Value, Norway, advances. Next, the Netherlands, Amsterdam, 1988 versus Canada, Undertone, 2026. Canada had to go to penalty kicks to defeat South Africa, and they will kill you. And now this matchup with the Netherlands and Amsterdam also goes to extra time without a goal, and this one goes to penalty kicks. And the winner is Canada and Undertone. Canada is now the only remaining of the 3 host countries still standing. Saudi Arabia, Al-Khalat Plus versus Portugal, Ice Merchants. 3 of our final 16 countries, France, Portugal, and Uruguay, are represented by short films. And if you've been here before, you may have heard how much we love shorts here at Cinema Boston. They can be as powerful, moving, inspiring, and thought-provoking as films with 2-hour runtimes. And honestly, that's true for a majority of the shorts I've screened in my life. France's short, All Boys Are Called Patrick, has already moved on, and now Portugal and Ice Merchants does the same. Next, Uruguay versus Paraguay. Uruguay, Blanes Esquina Mueller versus Paraguay's Landfill Harmonic. Our third remaining short is the one I wish was a documentary, and I still have trouble pronouncing the title. Unfortunately, it and Uruguay will not be advancing in our tournament as they are defeated by the Recycled Orchestra and Paraguay. Okay, 8 teams remain and only one can be crowned, so let's move on. For this round of 8, we're going to go with the regular Cinema Boston intros for the movie, so I'll give you the ratings, the runtimes, IMDb scores, and directors as part of the setup. We will begin with Norway versus Canada. Sentimental Value 2025 versus Undertone 2026. Sentimental Value, 9 Oscar nominations, an Oscar winner for Best International Feature, rated R, 133 minutes. IMDb rates it at 7.7 and directed by Joachim Trier. Undertone, rated R, 94 minutes. IMDb 5.9, directed by Ian Toisson. Sentimental Value, IMDb says an intimate exploration of family memories and the reconciliatory, I can say that, pronounce it, you know what I mean, power of art, versus Evie Babick, a skeptical paranormal podcaster caring for her comatose mother, receives disturbing recordings tied to a folkloric threat, and every new file pulls her closer to fears she can no longer explain away. Now, I'm finding that the best part of this whole enterprise is ending up having to choose between 2 movies like these. Other than a common thread of family, these movies couldn't be more different. As I mentioned earlier, Undertone will be making the Best of July list, and I'll tell you about it during that episode, as it does not have enough to eliminate Norway and the Oscar-winning Sentimental Value. Norway rose their way to the semifinals. Okay. Portugal versus Egypt. Ice Merchants 2022 versus The Square 2013. Ice Merchants, Oscar nominee for Best Animated Short Film. Unrated, 14 minutes. IMDb 7.6. Directed by João Gonzalez. The Square 2017, rated R. 151 minutes. IMDb 7.1. Directed by Ruben Östlund. Every day, a father and his son jump with a parachute from their vertiginous, like vertigo. I can't pronounce that one either. I'm no longer an English teacher. Cold house attached to a cliff to go to the village on the ground far away where they sell the ice they produce daily. Versus, here's The Square, a prestigious Stockholm Museum's chief art curator finds himself in times of both professional and personal crises as he attempts to set up a controversial new exhibit. Another matchup of extremely different movies, and the difference in runtimes between these 2 films is 137 minutes. Portugal and Ice Merchants will advance, but I promised I'd talk about a scene from Egypt's The Square that was as unforgettable as it was disturbing. I can't really describe it. The scene's available on YouTube. All you need to do is search The Square Human Monkey Dinner. Yep, Human Monkey Dinner. That's from The Square. It was wild, wild stuff. No actual monkeys were involved at all. It's cringy. It's very, very cringy, and it takes place at a crowded, like, high-class black tie affair, and a dude comes in with these things on his hands, and he is climbing on the tables, and he is being like, he's an ape. And it's scary how the people react to him and everything. You got to check that out. So that's The Square. Next, Czechia versus France. Spaceman 2024 versus All Boys Are Called Patrick 1959. Spaceman, rated R, 107 minutes. IMDb 5.7. Directed by Johan Renck. All Boys Are Called Patrick. Unrated, 21 minutes. IMDb 7.0. Directed by Jean-Luc Godard. Here's Spaceman. Half a year into his solo mission on the edge of the solar system, an astronaut concerned with the state of his life back on Earth is helped by an ancient creature he discovers on his ship. Versus, 2 French college girls each meet a boy named Patrick and quickly realize that it is less a coincidence than they think. Can you get with those 2 movies? How are you going to compare them? I may be the only person on the planet whose favorite Adam Sandler movie is Spaceman. And I'm actually fine with that. I'm also smart enough to realize that Jean-Luc Godard is slightly more talented than Taylor and Travis's wedding officiant, so France will move on. One more matchup to fill out our final 4, and it is Paraguay, Land Philharmonic, versus Switzerland, So Torn. Land Philharmonic, rated PG, 84 minutes. IMDb 8.1, directed by Brad Allgood and Juliana Pendrada Loftus. So Torn, unrated, 100 minutes, IMDb 6.0, directed by Freddie McDonald. Landfill Harmonic follows the Recycled Orchestra, an unlikely orchestra made out of recycled trash, in a beautiful story about the transformative power of music, versus So Torn, a seamstress gets tangled in her own thread after stealing a briefcase from a drug deal gone bad. Although I found Landfill Harmonic a wonderfully positive and uplifting music documentary, there's something I absolutely loved about So Torn. So Torn has a Run Lola Run element to it, and the protagonist's use of her sewing kit and its contents to fight her enemies was delightful. My mother was a seamstress, and I wish we could have screened this one together. 4 countries and films remain: Norway, Portugal, France, and Switzerland. The first of our matchups will be Norway versus Portugal. So that's Sentimental Value and Ice Merchants. So we've got the 9 Oscar nominee and Oscar winner for Best International Feature versus the Oscar nominee for Best Animated Short Film. So Oscar winner versus Oscar nominee, feature versus short. And once again, 2 vastly different films that are impossible to compare, but that's what we're here for. So, Norway and Sentimental Value will move on to the final versus the winner of France, All Boys Are Called Patrick, and Switzerland, So Torn. I loved both of these films so much, it was extremely difficult to choose between them. So this one went to extra time, and then it went to penalty kicks before Jean-Luc Godard converts the winner to send France to its second straight Cinema Boston World Cup of Film final. Now, we don't know yet who will face off in the real World Cup that's coming to you July 19th, Sunday, but ours here at Cinema Boston is set. Norway and Sentimental Value versus France, and All Boys Are Called Patrick. This has been a long tournament, and I really can't say much more about either of our final films that I haven't already said. So let's skip any chance of VAR interference and announce the winner of Cinema Boston's World Cup of Film. Merde. It's France and Jean-Luc Godard's delightful short, All Boys Are Called Patrick. And they are the winners. Seriously, France. Again. France. It's a fair court. It is. And that is a wrap for our 3-part series, Cinema Boston's World Cup of Film. We hope you join us next time when we will break down the top 10, bottom 5 of the year 1976, when I was in 8th grade at Sacred Heart School in Newburgh, New York. I've seen 110 movies released in 1976, and you'll be hearing about 15 of them during our next episode. Until then, enjoy the end of the real World Cup and take care.